Good afternoon, grade 11. How are you today? So after we finish explaining the vocabulary in your student book, we will move now to the reading text, the language of Braille. And first of all, we are going to read each paragraph alone, and we will put some questions and answer them, inshallah. Let's read the first paragraph. طبعا this text is found in your student book, page 64. Communication, the sharing of information, ideas and thoughts, can take many forms. Before the development of writing, people communicated via smoke signals, cave paintings and drum beats. Again, communication, the sharing of information, ideas and thoughts, can take many forms. Before the development of writing, people communicated via smoke signals, cave paintings and drum beats. Here we are talking about different forms of communication, and if you want to put a question here, what is the meaning of communication? Communication means sharing. Communication, sharing information, ideas and thoughts. This is the meaning of communication. And here we are talking about many forms of communication before the development or the invention of writing. How did people communicate before writing? They communicated via بواسطة smoke signals, cave paintings and drum beats. And the day or yesterday I asked you to have or to think about the connection between drum beats and communication. What is the meaning of drum beats? We said it's a musical instrument, and the sound of drum is called drum beats. So basically they communicate with each other using the drum beats because they don't know how to write messages or how to write letters. They also use cave paintings. They draw or they painted on the walls of cave, الكهوف, in order to spread their civilization as well as their culture among people. And they also use smoke signals. Okay, let's put a question here. Mention some forms of communication. طبعا before the development of writing, people communicate via smoke signals, cave paintings as well as drum beats. The first systems of writing used pictures to convey meaning. So, the first system of writing, they now want to develop the system of writing, but without using alphabet or letters. They use what? They use pictures, okay, in order to deliver the meaning. Yani, for example, they paint a picture of a bird in order to say that this is a bird. Or they paint a picture of a man to say that this is a man, like this, for example. Or they draw a picture of a woman or a boy, or sometimes a picture of animals because they were hunters. So they want to talk about their activities. They draw pictures on the walls of cave. هاي كانت اسمها الكتابة الهيروغليفية. Gradually, by time, as language developed, alphabets evolved. Evolved means to develop, يتطور, using letters and symbols which represented sounds. Now, after the development of pictures, they moved to use alphabets, letters, and they use symbols. And each letter, as we said yesterday, represents a sound. And whenever you put the sounds together, or you put the words together, you put the letters together, you form words. And you use them to communicate. here we have a question. What did the first system of writing use? What did the first system of writing use? It used pictures to convey meaning. It used pictures to deliver meaning. And we have question 4. How did language develop? How did language develop? They started using alphabets, letters, and symbols which represented sounds, and these sounds made up words. Again, they started using alphabets, letters, and symbols which represented sounds. These sounds made up words. Okay. The second paragraph. The invention of the printing press in the 15th century led to the first forms of mass media. And yesterday we talked about the meaning of mass media. We said that mass media means newspapers, magazines, television, internet, in which people actually read in order to know the news around them. So what did they invent in the 15th century? They invented the printing press, and actually this creates what? New magazines and new newspapers and magazines. Until then, it hadn't been possible to reach thousands of readers at the same time. However, only sighted people could access these media. So, in this, these kinds of mass media, such as newspapers and magazines, it was shown only for sighted people. Sighted people, which means people who can see. Whereas blind people couldn't actually reach, or they couldn't be able to access the media. It was only for people who can see the magazines and the newspapers. Okay, here we can put a question. What is the influence of the invention of the printing press in the 15th century? Why do you think that this invention has an influence, okay, on our life? Because the invention led to the first forms of mass media. This invention, I mean the invention of printing press, and it led to the first forms of mass media اللي هم basically magazine and newspapers. This all changed in 1821. It happened when an officer in the military in France was visiting the Royal Institute of the Blind in Paris. He wanted to demonstrate the students a system of dots he had invented. These dots allowed soldiers to communicate without speaking. Okay, here we are actually introduced to an event or an incident, and it happened in 1821. Okay, this incident is what? When an officer of military visited an institute of blind in Paris. Okay, he has a new system for using dots, this one. Okay, the dots here. Okay, and those dots allowed soldiers to communicate without speaking. You know, it's really important for soldiers not to speak, and they have many forms of communication without speaking and without writing, because these messages are confidential. So they want to find a way or a form of communication without speaking, and this form of communication was the system of dots. Who invented it? This officer in the French military. Okay, now I want you to continue reading the text alone and try to find the difficult meanings. Inshallah, tomorrow we will continue. And before I ask you to leave, I want to thank Raya, Hanin, Lilas, and Maya for submitting their writing, and I encourage the others to submit their writing as well. طبعا those who submitted their writing will receive 2 grades. Thank you so much.